Hey guys, it's Matt here from Life Turnaround Now. Well, I've just finished up with an awesome interview with Wendi Friesen. Now, if you don't know Wendi, she is a hypnotherapist, she is a businesswoman, she's a mother, she's a healer, she's a teacher, she's a personality, that is for sure. Anyway, Wendi is someone who I've wanted to interview. I have some of her products and they're fantastic. And Wendi kindly agreed to let me interview her. Now, it's a great interview because it's totally open. We didn't plan any of it. I didn't tell her what I was going to ask her. In actual fact, when I wrote to her, I said, I won't talk about these topics. And she said, you can ask me anything you want. So we talk about things like law of attraction and, how to actually really make that work. We talk about Wendi's story. I mean, it's really interesting. She used all of that kind of thought process and that kind of stuff, let's call it stuff. She was a mother of two children, single mother of two children, built a business from nothing to a $10 million business. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And now she talks around the world and teaches people how to have the life that they want to have. Anyway, so we talk about that. We talk about business, we talk about life. We talk about sex, which is really interesting. We talked about a lot of stuff. I wish I could have talked to her more. Anyway, it's quite a long interview. It's about 40 minutes. So if this is not, do it when you got a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something like that, and enjoy it. I actually had a notepad while I was doing the interview and taking notes because what she was talking about was fantastic. If you want to check out more of Wendi, go to the link below or lifeturnaroundnow.com/Wendi, Wendi, and enjoy. Let me know what you guys think. So the first question I have for you, Wendi, is who is Wendi? I mean, who are you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think in some ways I'm still trying to find myself. But what I've discovered is that I am a really powerful healer and I have the ability to help people want to transform their lives. And not just the skills for them to do it, but to give them the inspiration and the motivation. So I think that, my place in this world is inspiring people to do something different.
Mm-hmm. But when you say inspire, I mean, is that through? Do you consider yourself a motivator then, or are you a change agent, or what? Do you put your finger on anything, or you don't say you're anything like that? I mean,
no, I do, and I would say that I'm all of those things because I can really motivate people who are not motivated. I can inspire them to want to change. I can also do the things that are the real tools that make them change and not go back to whatever it was they were doing. So yeah, all of the above. How's that?
all of the above. That's perfect. That's what I like. You don't just want to be one thing, right? You want to be multiple things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I do know. I mean, I know from knowing you and from I was going to use the word using some of your products. I guess that's the right word, using some of your products, which are great. My wife and I really enjoy some of the ones that we've purchased from you. You do a lot of stuff. I mean, you cover a lot of topics, and right from addiction to confidence to phobias to, and the list goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. I guess what's interesting for me is through all these things you do and this motivation that you do and this guiding and this healing, is it always the same thing that you end up kind of achieving with people? As in, is it fear of change? Is there a common thing in there? And if there is, what is it? I mean, there might not be.
Right. Well, that is actually a really good question because people ask me how I can make so many programs. I have like 300 different topics right now. Right. And, how can I help a golfer and then also help a child wet the bed, or, that I could help an ice skater who wants to go to the Olympics, or I can get rid of migraine headaches. Well, all of the things that I do are basically the same. What I am an expert at is how the brain works and how it affects cells, the chemical states in our bodies, and how our memories affect happening in our life, whether it's a health issue or problem with a golf game or whatever it is. Basically, the principles are the same. So I'm an expert in how the brain and this conscious versus subconscious affects the body and affects our experience.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of you're talking about the chemical and the physical reaction that happens in the body and the mind. So a mind-body connection. Kind of irrespective of let's say the challenge that someone's had, like I want to improve my golf game, or hey, I need more confidence, or something like that. Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter so much if I'm an expert at getting you to be a great public speaker or a fantastic golfer. we have to do a certain thing to make you that person, and that is getting rid of the fears, anything that's causing limitations or creating insecurity about that specific thing. Then we have to create the possibility in the brain by building an actual neural network. And these neural networks, they connect together and they hold all kinds of emotions and visuals and kinesthetic feelings, just everything. So we build one of these. It has all of the identity and belief and experiences of you being that person, and then we connect it and create triggers, and those triggers are happening subconsciously so that you are naturally going to be that person. So for instance, if you have a deathly fear of public speaking, we've got to look at, is there a fear that caused it? Is there a reason for it? And something that's holding you back? Then create the experience of you being really confident and good at that, building that whole neural network in your brain and accessing it. Because, the interesting thing is that most people just don't have the experience in their brain of doing the thing they want to do. So there's no way that your brain can help you to achieve that, because it doesn't exist in your brain. Make sense?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you bring up the golf example. I guess it's a simplified thing of that is like muscle memory, I guess, right? You can't hit the great golf shot unless you've practiced that golf shot over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, most of the times that you practice that shot, you did it wrong. You went in the water, or you topped the ball, or you sliced it, or whatever. Your brain is recording all the ways that you do it wrong, and it doesn't care if you hit it right or wrong. Your brain doesn't know which muscle memory or which motion or parts of your swing are correct. And that's the difficult thing, and not just in golf, but in anything. You've done it wrong thousands of times. That's the information that your brain is using to decide how you're going to do something now.
Okay, so you're talking like self-talk as well. Like I can't hit the ball well. I always hit it in the water. That kind of thing. That's what we're talking about?
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the things, because when you use that negative self-talk, like if I were to tee up and say, okay, don't let me hit this in the water, and then I take my water ball and put it on the tee, what am I doing to my brain?
I'm going to hit it in the water, right?
It's going right in there.
Right.
Or if you're trying to lose weight or something, and you say to your friends, oh man, I can't resist sugar. I have such a sweet tooth, especially at night. All I do is grab the ice cream.
Right.
Well, what else do you expect to happen?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to go for the ice cream.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm really fascinated by your background, and I was actually, just before we got on this call, I was skimming through some of the kind of press stuff that you'd done, and I didn't realise before, but you'd been on, because of course I'm from England, so I kind of picked up on this, but you've been on GMTV, which is, for those of you who are watching, if you're watching outside of the UK, you'll have no idea what it is, but it's a morning breakfast show. It's a very nice morning breakfast. And I grew up seeing that program. What were you doing on GMTV?
Well, they call it the Oila Awards, and I don't know if you've seen that segment, but it's the only in LA. And so I was oh yes. So what they did is they had me. We did this in a hotel lobby, and they came and filmed it. And we talked about breast enlargement, which is actually something that hypnotists do very regularly. We have research from UCLA and Stanford, and some other research that shows that hypnosis can increase the size of your breasts.
Really?
So they gave me the Oila Award for wacky uses of hypnosis. But what it did, because I give them a lot of good factual stuff and explain why it could work. Then people learn that, wow, this isn't so wacky. Maybe this has some credibility. So that's what I did.
That's fantastic. So can hypnosis enlarge other parts of the body?
Apparently, there's a doctor who wrote about it in a book. He's an MD, and he did that for his male patient. And he indeed, in a month, grew an inch.
Yes.
Really. And there's a lot of hypnotherapists now that actually do penis enlargement. Yeah, and the Financial Times did a story on me as well when I was out there. It was a nice half-page story with pictures and everything. That was pretty cool. And that was on my financial abundance workshop. They sent a reporter to the workshop to see what was going on, to experience the hocus pocus.
Right. What magic is she weaving in these sessions? Well, that brings me on nicely, because I know I would like, if you wouldn't mind, depending on how much detail you want to give, but your background, I mean, you were single mother of two. You were, I think you've declared yourself, you were broke at that point. You said you were flat broke. So what were you doing then? Were you a hypnotherapist at that? Were you qualified? I mean, where were you at that point, and how did you get to where I'm talking to you today? I mean, how did that all start?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. And I had a couple of fairly successful businesses, but at this point in my life, things weren't going well. And I had just taken the hypnotherapy training at the school, and that was about 6 months long. And a lot of people in this business told me, you can't make money in hypnotherapy. You just can't. And I believed them. And so for about a year or two, I was trying to see clients, and I was just going broke, and they were turning off my utilities every week. And my two boys were very young, and it was really, really hard. The kind of short version of it is that I decided, okay, if I was my own client and I was coming in for help, what would I do? And I would look for the belief that I should be poor or that I don't deserve to be wealthy, find out why I'm sabotaging my success. Is there an actual positive reason for staying poor? And I went through the therapy on my own, and I found out that there was a part of me that said I needed to be pitiful. And so I told that part, thank you, even though I didn't believe it. And I said, even deeper, what do you want? And the part said, you need to be even more pitiful. And I was just shocked that that even existed in me at all. And then I asked the part, why do I need to be more pitiful? And the part said, because then you'll be rescued, which was like, oh my God, there's no way. I have this agenda in my psyche that says I need to be rescued. So from there, I began to create the processes that took me into a different future and a different reality. And there's a little bit more to the process, of course. But once I did that, I decided in every cell in my body, in every level of my being, that I was never, ever going to be poor again. I didn't know how, but I was never going to be poor again, which is kind of a negative affirmation, but that was my decision. And then I decided I would make more than enough money to do all the things I wanted to do in life. And my business has done about $10 million on the internet. And that's just in a few years. Because of a lot of really cool things that I've created, things that people would call luck, which is, experience and opportunity.
Luck? Right. Yeah, exactly.
What's the definition for that?
Right.
Yeah, where education meets opportunity or preparation. I think that's it.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, and a lot of hard work too. A lot of action.
So you've gone from, let me just get this straight, for someone watching this, you've gone from, when was that, how many years ago?
Well, I started doing this in like 95, but most of the business when I really decided to take off was like in about the year 2000 when I really started in earnest.
So we're talking, if we say we're talking 10 years.
Well, actually, I downsized about 3 years ago, so the bulk of my business was about 6 or 7 years that I created from zero to the 10 million.
Right. So you were. If I just I'm trying to set the scene and paint a picture here sort of clearly for anybody who's watching. So you were single mother of 2 kids, went through some work with yourself, and I'm sure you got help, but basically you were the person that was pushing the business, and from nothing, pretty much, sounds like, you went from nothing to a $10 million business.
Yeah, and, I did hire a lot of people along the way, but this is really important that other people understand that you can learn as you go. You don't have to have everything in place in order to start and get your step, on the path to doing that. You really can learn as you go. But it's all about that internal attitude and that internal belief. If you push forward to try and be successful, but you still have a belief that you don't deserve to be wealthy, or like me, that if I would just get more pitiful, I'd be rescued, you're going to screw up everything along the way. And it's going to be really hard and really painful, because this part wants you to be rescued or to stay poor, and this part wants to be wealthy, and they're just fighting constantly, and it takes all your energy.
Right. So could you put a finger on any, let's say, actual physical, I don't know whether this is possible, but your limiting belief of being, let's say, rescued, if I can use the term limiting belief, I guess that's something that fits that?
Well, yeah, I just didn't think that I had anything like that going on in my mind.
Okay.
And that was the shock to me, was that and that came out of me. When you do this work, one of the things that everybody should realize is the voice that comes from within you, it's telling the truth. It's coming from inside of you. It's there.
Right.
So, yeah, that was definitely a limiting belief, a big one. But what I did is acknowledging it, accepting it, and then you don't have to fix it or like, you know, run it over or blow it